My name is Tarek Taylor. I am a theater major with a concentration in film and television. I was diagnosed with Tourette's only about 2 or 3 years ago, but I've been dealing with it since probably about fourth grade is when it started to become, super prevalent in my life. I grew up in a small town of Plaquemine, Louisiana, and when I was a kid, going to the theater with my family would always be some of my favorite memories. So, growing up, I just kind of had a lot of experiences with that, and me and my parents shared a lot of those. So I find it as a little way to get closer to them. I have 2 theatrical design classes and then 1 acting class. The acting class is probably my favorite of any class I've taken. You just get a lot of hands-on experience with dealing with different aspects of performance. They teach you kind of step by step how to introduce yourself to a character and how to embody it, and the different ways that you can do that. Having Tourette's is it hasn't really affected my studies very much, but it has affected my interpersonal relationships with people here and other students. My Tourette's has always given me a major sense of anxiety because I have no clue whenever I'm looking at somebody like this or not. So, or I'll just be doing some weird shit. So it makes it a little bit harder to form connections with people. The first movie I can remember being my favorite was probably Spider-Man 2, because I went to see it with my cousin. There are certain characters in certain movies, Spider-Man, particularly the recent incarnation of him with Tom Holland, and the Blue Ranger from the 2017 Power Rangers remake. The Blue Ranger in that movie he's on the spectrum, and that sort of makes it difficult for him to interact with people. It doesn't really change much about his character, but it does affect him, and I thought it was very cool to see that, because having Tourette's can make it difficult sometimes to interact with people. For me, it's just given me a lot of social anxiety, because I don't know when I'm going to have some weird face movement and then somebody will get the wrong idea about something I said or something I did. When you watch someone like Tom Holland's Peter Parker, you can kind of tell that he doesn't really he's not the most popular, he doesn't really fit in, and I don't know, I kind of can relate to that in certain ways. I actually don't plan on pursuing a theater major for the rest of my time at LSU. I'm probably going to switch to a design major of some sort and maybe a business minor, because my dream is to open up a little coffee shop, and maybe do that in Baton Rouge. I haven't decided that yet, but I would like to open a little coffee shop, and eventually, if that coffee shop becomes profitable enough, maybe a restaurant, and then adjacent to one of those, maybe open a homeless shelter next to it, and take the proceeds from either of those businesses and use it to fund the homeless shelter or the excess material. A word of advice I have for people with Tourette's: that you're not the only one. I would probably tell someone dealing with Tourette's that you're really not alone, and you're not as strange as you think you are. And, you can be different from other people, and it'd be a good thing, too. Not everyone is going to look at you whenever you talk to them, and you'll make a weird face, and they're going to get mad at you or think you're trying to insult them or something. Because that's how I felt a lot of the time. I thought that people would get mad at me if I made a face that I couldn't help. Because sometimes people did. People will react weirdly if I if I go in the middle of talking to them, and a lot of that nervousness is self-perpetuated. At least for myself, anyway. Not everyone's going to be as upset with you as they think they are. Some people really will understand, and they'll be okay with it, and they'll understand that you don't have full control of your face sometimes. And, there's other people like you. And there's people who have, done really special things dealing with the same stuff that you are.